simple, two diagrams. However, we will be going through obviously the main diagrams. Some diagrams are just needed in order for you to learn. You know what I'm saying? And the reason it's important for you to learn is because it's almost like the building blocks to manifesting your desired reality. And manifesting is simply just, well, in the simplest way, it's turning our thoughts into reality, materializing your mental plane into the physical plane. That is a simple definition of what manifestation is. Obviously, it goes way deeper than that, but then I just dropped a 1 hour video, so you guys can go check that out, where I just describe all of this in full. However, before we touch on the main topic of the video, why your life is most likely not changing. No matter how hard you try, nothing changes. We first need to understand the building blocks. I will go through this diagram very, very quickly. Let me make sure I'm recording. Okay. I'll go through this diagram very, very quickly. Understanding the three planes of existence. This is like, if you don't understand this, then it's a death sentence. You're cooked, essentially. So, um this is your reality, and then this is basically the pillars of reality. Think about this as the pillars of materializing your desired reality. Your reality is basically the everything we ever know. It's basically, how do I say this? It's okay. So your reality is simply how you view the world. It's important to understand that manifestation isn't about seeing a change in the physical. It's about seeing a change in the way you view the world. So that's just a quick disclaimer, at least when it comes to manifesting a desired reality. However, manifestation will allow you to achieve certain things, like getting money, like getting, why did it glitch? Getting money, cars, trophies, GTA 6. I'm gonna manifest GTA 6. Girls. No, this is not a girl. It's a woman. It's a woman right there. But like I said, let's stop playing around. It's important to understand that when you focus too much on one pillar of reality, you are only using 33.33% of what you can possibly create, which is 100%. So relying on one of these things is essentially a death sentence. This is why you need to use all planes of existence to manifest your full 100% of reality. You get me? Only 98% of people only use one plane of existence, and they're sort of, how do I say this? They're sort of confused as to why their life isn't changing. So back to the diagram. Now, let's get into this cycle and see how these two correlate. All right. So, I call this the cycle of bullshit. This is typically the cycle most of us go through. So, we begin to actually try and actually be better people. And then maybe some time goes by, and we start to see a change, even if it's little, like even if it's a little change, the change is still there, which is positive. But then you experience resistance or friction. Friction in physical terms is basically the opposing force. So you're going forward, and what friction does is that it pushes you back. So you start to sort of regress in a way, and then now you're like, fuck this shit. You reach rock bottom. And then the cycle continues. You go up and then you go down. This is why people say that in life there's ups and downs. But then it's important to understand that there are no truths other than what the subconscious mind believes as true. You get me? So those whole sayings of, ups and downs in life, you can truly live life with simply just ups. Well, not exactly, but then we will get into that. But let me just break this down more. So you're trying to be better, right? And then you experience a change. What is that? That is basically you experiencing a change in frequency. Now we go back to our little original. This and this, like this part right here is very important. So what is frequency? Write this shit down, bro. Write this shit down. Because like if you're not gonna make notes, if you're not gonna apply this shit to your life later, then click out the video because there's no point in watching this shit. Do not bullshit. Alright, so what is frequency? Frequency is an energetic signature that expresses itself in our human lives as a particular degree of awareness. Awareness, a particular degree of awareness. So this is the map of consciousness, and basically the lower you are, the lower your frequency, and this is most likely what your experience when your frequency is below the graph. You know, you experience things of grief, apathy, guilt. You know, why is my life not changing? You know, you think you'll feel hopeless. You have no hope. You blame yourself or you blame other people. You regret things that you have done. You feel humiliated for not having, humiliated for not having any girls, any bitches, any. And then this is basically where you want to be. You basically want to obviously grow your frequency, but then it's important to realize that it's not instant. It's not instant. You gradually need to go through certain things. You know, especially acceptance being one of the biggest ones. I read that in a book. I forgot what the book's name is. I'm gonna put you guys on books later, but then let's stay on topic. This is very important. Your frequency is the lens through which you see reality. Your frequency is the lens through which you see reality. So all right, so back to the cycle of bullshit. You begin to say you begin to experience a change in frequency. Which what is frequency? No, I'm asking you. Okay, I'm gonna ask you this question. What is frequency? You see, y'all niggas don't even make notes, and y'all niggas don't even know what I'm talking about. No, bro, you need to know what I'm talking about. I know damn well you had no answer. Bro. I know damn well. Frequency is the lens through which you see reality, and why seeing a change in that is important is because frequency essentially changes your perception of life, and your perception of life is honestly one of the most important things because your perception is directly interconnected to your projection of reality. If you perceive life to be bad, if you perceive life if you if you perceive life from this frequency, then the world will simply just prove it to you. If you perceive life as hopeful, as tragic, then the world will prove it to you. My bad. Let me give an example of this. A lot of girls would be like, men are trash, simply because that is the perception of men. They got cheated on maybe one time, and then now they believe that all men are trash. Since their perception is directly interconnected to their projection of reality, the world will just prove it to them. Every single man that they begin to speak to after that will most likely be trash, simply because of their perception. You know, so what you want to do is control your perception. But then at the same time, you start to experience a change. You start to experience resistance or frequency. So basically, what happens here is that. Why did I copy this twice? Hold on. So you begin to. There's no need for this because this is just like the copy shit. Like, I think maybe I'll just put it back. I'll put something there. Okay. Okay. So now we've established that you start to see a change, but then now you start to experience resistance and you start regressing back to your old frequency. You see your frequency is essentially, listen, the lens through which you see reality. But as your frequency starts to grow, people start to experience a regression. They start to fall back to their old frequency, and they start to fall back to their old ways and habits and things of that nature, which is basically the whole point of this video. We want to take this bullshit out of the equation. We simply want linear. We want something linear. We want to try and then experience the change, period. This is what we want. We want to try and experience the change, period. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? We try and then experience the change. We do not want to be caught up in a cycle. We simply just want to go straight. So we are going to basically take all of this bullshit out of the equation in order for us to manifest our desired reality. So In order for us to do that, we obviously need to understand why we experience a resistance. And that is quite literally because your old frequency wants you back. Your frequency is an entity. It's think about it as almost a living being. It's not essentially that simple. It's not essentially a living being, but it acts like one in the way that it wants to live. It's simply doing what it can to live. It wants to be manifested physically. And it's nothing personal, honestly. Like, if you want to live, you're going to do anything. And it does not care about it does not care about you, or how it affects you. It simply just wants to be alive. It's quite literally an attention seeking horror. It sees you with your new frequency and is like, nah, 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 I'm gonna take my man back. It sees the frequency as a new nice girl and is like, nah, I'm taking my man back. So you literally want to get rid of that. You like mise is like basically like slang for like uh it's like slang for like ignore, just ignore her for real. So with that being said, yes, okay, fine, I found the notes. Your frequency is an entity, which means that it wants to live regardless of your emotional states. It does not care about your emotional state. Basically, obviously skim through these. Watch my previous video where I break down all these simple notes. This is basically the stepping stone, the stepping blocks of every single conversation that we're gonna have from now on. It is quite literally an attention seeking WHORE. It wants you back. The reason your old frequency is so hard to detach from is because it is composed of habitual thoughts, emotions, and patterns. It's important to realize that this frequency that you have does not just come from like out of nowhere. It is built from habits. You've been in this frequency for so long. Obviously, you're naturally going to gravitate towards it because it has essentially become a habit. Beating your meats, not doing any work, procrastination, that's all just a habit. Obviously, you're going to gravitate towards it once you sort of break out of it. You get me? And this is where some people do not make it out. Some people genuinely do not make it out of this cycle. We want to be the exception. What we want to do is diverge. We want to diverge. We want to go from here, almost like a trek. We want to go from here, and then as we go there, we sort of just instead of coming back here, we sort of want to get on this highway, if you know what I mean. uh the parallel universes of something something, that was like a book that was recommended. uh However, I haven't read it, but I'll read it just for you guys. So basically, see it almost as a highway. No, not a highway, as like a. Actually, nah. I'm cooking. I'm cooking, right? I'm cooking, nigga. Cycle of bullshit. What should I call this? I'm cooking, bro. I'm cooking. Hold on. Cycle of bullshit. Uh, desire reality. That's a placeholder. I don't know what else I'll call it. Desired reality. You guys are seeing this here for the first time. You guys are not going to see this anywhere else. You guys saw it here first, like I'm Soldier Boy. See this as almost a circle. You get me? Everybody comes with their car. Pause. Excuse me. But my roommate just cooked me up, like, bro, the craziest meal ever, bro. Like, whew, thank the Lord, man. So everybody comes in a cycle, almost like a car. But then some people literally don't know when to get off. And in fact, they don't even see the road. So what I want to do is make you aware of the road, so you can essentially come from trying to change. Now you're like, fuck you, but then now it's not gonna be a cycle. It's just going to be straight change. So now you're sort of gonna diverge from this cycle of bullshit into the cycle of your desired reality. No, it's not even a cycle. It's linear. Into the linearness of your desired reality. Oh my goodness, bro. We are cooking. We are cooking, man. Okay, my goodness. Habits are reinforced through constant repetition. Habits are reinforced through constant repetition. So obviously, since it's a habit, you're going to have to break it. But honestly, habits and breaking them are honestly one of the hardest, most difficult things to do. But then, like we said, there are no truths other than what the subconscious mind believes. If you truly believe that, if you truly believe that, in your subconscious, if you can prove to yourself that breaking from a habit is easy by obviously completing little things, just doing what is needed, doing little things so you can sort of prove to yourself that you can do it, then of course, it'll be true in reality. Uh, That's crazy how I've literally been reading off this graph, but I haven't introduced it to you guys. But then that's usually how it goes when you explain things. The bad is just as good as the important. Yin and yang. Before light, there must be dark. Before light, there must be dark. So now the dark before dawn. This is let me get my notes out. This is from a book by I think her name is Florence. It's Florence something. Florence something. What's her name, man? Get my notes out. By Florence Shine. Shinn. Florence Shine. Let me just say Shine for now. Um. So obviously, it's important to understand that you will experience resistance. You will experience resistance. This is the placeholder. You will experience resistance. Let me just give this a color. Nah, just make it that right. So you will experience resistance. However, like as we said, there are no truths other than what the subconscious mind believes as true. If you believe that this resistance is simply just there in order to be there, and it is just a block that you just need to step over, just a little hump in the journey, then it will be treated as that. Do not see this thing as, oh fuck life, or oh all this, because remember, your perception is directly interconnected to your projection of reality. So if you believe this shit is easy, then it'll be easy. So now, some people do not make it out of the dark. Some people genuinely do not make it out of the dark, which can be seen over here. The cycle of bullshit. Some people do not make it out of the cycle of bullshit. They just continue going, which is why we want to take all this bullshit out the equation, all this negative shit out the equation, so we can sort of just line up on this side. But listen, it's not instant. You don't just go from here to there. You go from here, you're like, fuck this shit, resistance. But then now, instead of trying and then going back to the same cycle, you diverge from that cycle and simply just make it linear. If you get what I'm trying to say. Now, it's important to realize that most of your problems are coming from mental blocks. Most of your problems are not physical. It's more so has to do with something internal, and that is what most people sort of, how do I say this? Most people sort of attach their problems to the physical plane. Like this physical plane right here is dangerous. So now let me you guys obviously see the 33.33%. If you put too much of your effort into one of these planes, you will only manifest this much of that much. You need to use all of them. You need to be mentally secure. You need to be physically you need to be secure. You need to be secure, period. And then now let's get into this shit. Reality is merely an illusion. Albert Einstein. Reality is an illusion. So now what does this mean? This basically means that the things around us, the world, it's an illusion. It's a fancy way of saying a trap. No matter how hard you work, no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how hard you work, you are not guaranteed success. No matter how hard you try and get out of this thing, no matter how much physical work you put into getting out of this thing, you are not guaranteed to strive out. Obviously, there is an exception. However, some people, hold on, now we get into that. But then what I want you guys to understand is that with these three pillars, you need to be secure. So I urge you to go watch my previous video where I break all of this down for you, so it's into like a more digestible type of thing. I recommend you watch the whole video even though it's an hour, and I hope you're making notes. I hope you're making notes. You see, I want you guys to understand that most of your problems are mostly physical or spiritual. Some people rely too much on these planes, and let me touch on the physical plane quickly. Some people believe that if they have this, if they have the car, if they have the money in GTA 6, they believe that they will be happy. Some people believe that if they have this, they'll be happy. You know what I mean? Some people believe that if they have this. But then that is not what you want. You do not want money. You desire frequency. Frequency. What do we say? Frequency is the lens through which you see reality. You desire this shit. This is what you desire, because you guys attach the feeling of receiving this bullshit to this stuff right here. Like you attach the feeling of receiving material things to these things right here. But the thing about material things is material things are an illusion. They present the illusion that they are these things, but truly they are a trap to keep you in the cycle of bullshit. Simply detach from seeing reality, from attaching reality to this frequency, and your problems will go away. Manifestation is internally shifting to a degree where you are no longer dependent on seeing reality change. An illusion. This stuff, I'm gonna say it one more time. This stuff presents the illusion that it is this. And you don't even need this to find that. You get me? You don't even need this to find that. You can simply skip all the steps. See, some people, how some people go is like, some people, how do I say this? Some people think that in order to be happy, they need this. They think that this right here will give them happiness. They think that this right here will give them happiness. Give me a second, man. They think this right here will make them happy. They think this will make them happy. But then, not happy is not the word that we want to use. They think that this will give them frequency. People think they can find frequency in this. But it is important to understand that this shit right here is of the physical plane. This shit is of the physical plane. It's only 33. You see, it's an illusion. But people think that this will give them frequency, but it's an illusion. And what do we just say? If you're using 33% of this shit, if you're only using one, if you're putting all your shit in one of these things, you manifesting your desired reality will simply just fall. You get me? So your life is not changing because you are in the cycle of bullshit. What you need to do is diverge and simply move here. Alright. I think that will be all for today. I'm actually excited to make these videos, bro. Like, this is so crazy. I just ooh wee, man. You know, active recall is one of the best ways to learn. And the fun thing about just any type of scripture is that, like, it's constant learning, bro. It's constant learning. Like, if I didn't sit down here and literally, I wouldn't have, you know what I mean? Alright, bro. Then you guys have a nice day, and stop bullshitting, man. Stop bullshitting.